So it was really valuable to see what other teachers were doing and how they were using this vocabulary in their classroom, so that, say, a fourth grade teacher would know, okay, the incoming third graders should know what a hypothesis is because they used that vocabulary last year. And this is the second portion of that same chart. On the left, again, observations, analysis, and conclusions. So 6 total. And then again, during the academic school year, we added grades 2, 4, and 6 to the inquiry skills map. We reviewed units for evidence of inquiry. Where is that? Is it something that's directly addressed in the curriculum, or does it sort of show up in certain places? And we had the opportunity to examine some student work, in particular the butterfly science notebook. And remind me again what grade level that was, March? Grade 2. And reviewed results of a common assessment that was performed in grades 3 and 4, and a preview of MCAS content for grade 5. And our projected work, specifically this summer, is how we include those inquiry skills into our units. And the June work will focus primarily on that. But also we're meeting in July, and we're going to focus on listing knowledge, skills, and vocabulary of science, process, and inquiry for each grade, and then incorporate those into the units in August. And we also have some revision of where the placement of certain units need to be for grades 3, 4, and 5, and there's a transition happening in grade 6 to align grade 6 science with the middle school model, and so that needs to be addressed as well. And that's it.
The ELA leadership team, Nancy Tripp and Trish Robichaud.
Good evening. I'm Tricia Robichaud. So those of you who were here last year remember that our previous, most recent work focused on creating benchmarks at each grade level in the areas of comprehension and word study. And this year we chose to target research. And our goal ultimately was to create a foundation throughout our district that would enable our 12th graders to approach and then successfully complete that all-important one of their all-important graduation requirements, their senior project. As you've already heard, Common Core state standards were essential for us to take a look at. But for us, it became apparent that the skills for research weren't just limited to the media center. They were really, what are the skills in terms of reading and then in terms of writing to tackle a text and then to finally ultimately put all of your knowledge on paper. As you just heard science talk about research and looking at the Common Core standards, we've always known this, but these Common Core really set it nicely that this information, these benchmarks, these skills go across content area. It's not just in reading that we need to address these skills for our students to be successful. And I think you're going to hear it again when you hear social studies. So as we looked at these skills, the idea of there needs to really, this habit of mind at inquiry really needs to be supported at each grade level from K right until 12.
We concentrated on looking at grades 4, 8, and 11 to develop the benchmarks for research. And what we're going to do starting the week of June 27th is meet with a team of teachers representing each grade level to work down from 4 up from 8, and then continue on to the independent senior project. This work has already begun in our classrooms and our media centers. What you see here is an example of student work done at grade 3, embedding that habit of mind of inquiry, asking questions within the text. Following that are questions generated from grade 8 in our language-based classroom, generating questions beyond the text, which are worthy of an investigation. Additionally, to go along with that, the core researching skills of looking at our resources and evaluating them. There are a lot of materials out there. You need to know where to start. You need to know what tools are going to yield the best results. There's a heavy emphasis, or a key emphasis, I should say, on using academic resources, of which Wikipedia, Ask.com, Answers.com are not academic resources. Here in our school system, we do have access to credible databases, and we want our students to know and to use these credible databases. This particular portion of the presentation was created by Scott McDonald, who's our new Media Center Director, and he served on our leadership team with us. And this was geared for a grade 5 audience, so using criteria of currency, accuracy, and authority to evaluate the websites. Following this is a sample of 11th grade work where this student was evaluating their resources.
And so again, as Nancy mentioned earlier, that brings us to our summer work, which will begin on the 27th, where we will begin to go in both directions on the 4, 8, and 11 benchmarks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Our last team is represented by Amanda Tetzloff, and she's going to speak about what the social studies curriculum team worked on this year.
Hello.
Hello.
So, the social studies team, we also looked at the Common Core standards in literacy, and we focused on history and social studies. We really focused on the portion about research and presenting their knowledge, and we looked at this portion for grades K through 12. These are the 3 components that the standards focus on, and obviously they do vary from kindergarten through 12th grade, but they all do look at conducting shorter research projects as long as longer ones, students generating their own questions to investigate in the research project. Obviously, as the lower grades, it's teacher generated. Gathering information from print sources as well as electronic, and to also speak to the ELA team. Again, is it a credible source? We learn how to cite sources as we go through the grades, and the big one, of course, avoiding plagiarism. So this year, what we did was we informed teachers, K through 12 social studies teachers, of these Common Core standards, and we asked them to tell us any research project that they are conducting in their social studies classrooms. And what we did was we made a list of what's being done K through 12. So here, the next 3 slides, we just highlighted a couple of examples. We have one from the West, one from the middle school, and one from the high school. This is an example from grade 4. They do a research project about national parks in our country. They actually write letters to the parks. Once they receive that information as a class, they look at the information. In 4th grade, it's teacher and student working on questions to investigate, and they create a class book. For grade 7, this was one example. We have a research project in our unit on Greece, and it is a 2-month-long research project. Students generate their own questions to investigate. We work on taking notes from those sources, digital as well as print. Work on citing sources. They then take an outline that goes into a report, a research report. They do a project, and we also work on presentation skills. This year in 7th grade, we also included a calendar, so working on time management skills as well. And this is one of our examples from grade 9. They've collected information, looked for news articles that talk about Islam, and then they analyze how Islam is actually portrayed in the media today. And then for next year, our plan is to get the list that we've created this year out to teachers, and we're really looking into our units to see where can we scaffold the research process along the way, starting from month 1 of school. Just citing sources maybe for one unit, and in another unit evaluating a source, but doing the bits and pieces as the year goes instead of waiting to the end and stressing the kids out and the teachers and everything else. So it's just to where can we fit these pieces throughout the year. Short and sweet.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So you can see the leadership teams do a tremendous amount of work for the school district, and I think the significance that you see going through tonight's presentation is this emphasis on inquiry, research, bringing 21st century skills into our curriculum, but also I think it's a significant shift to moving it toward a thinking curriculum where students are asked to think and question and find answers away from a more passive model of just being a receiver of information. So we're very excited about this work, and I know personally I'm very grateful to the people for the work during the year and for coming here tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mrs. Condon, how many are on each team?
There's about between 8 and 9 people on each team, made up of teachers and administrators. Some teams are larger than. If a team is in their review cycle for the curriculum, they'll have more members than if they've already revised their curriculum and they're just in support mode.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Yeah, I think that you guys all did a fabulous job on this presentation and over the year on the work that you've been doing to accumulate the information, to look at what our kids are doing and what we want them to be doing. And I was actually extremely intrigued with the social studies stuff that was just kicked back at us. My daughter, I remember when she came home with the 4th grade stuff, and I found, and my high schooler has some things sort of like this going on, and especially with history, it's so easy to lose the kids with just information, and you're just pummeling them with stuff. And it was so much more interactive, and it was so much more intriguing to my kids when they had to do some of the work, seek out the information, and compute it in their own head, and also present it to their classes and teach it. My daughter at the high school had to teach a lesson, and then after she taught the lesson, the teacher went and reiterated the important points, but it gets them to be able to present as well, and I think you guys have done a fabulous job from what I see here. Mike?
Hi, Dr. Condon. I had a question regarding the common theme throughout all departments discussed a shift in what we used to do and adjusting to the Common Core. Is there significance to the timing of that in that we're still taking the MCAS? Are we giving up on the MCAS approach, or it's going to be a difficult balance?
It is. It's a very difficult balance. No